We're next going to learn about type aliases. We're not going to be using type aliases in our project heavily because frankly I think they're a little gimmicky, but in full-scale production applications I suppose they have their place. I'm really introducing these so that if you see them in the future, you'll at least have heard about them before. Maybe you'll remember to reference our course, or maybe it'll just trigger something in the back of your mind and you'll be able to think, oh, okay, I've at least seen this type alias before, even if I haven't used it heavily, and I can figure out how this thing works. So basically what type aliases allow us to do is to redefine class names on the fly. So we can go to the top here, right below import UI kit, and let's type alias, and we're going to type whole number, and we're going to set this equal to int. And what this is going to do is it's going to replace the int keyword, or the int class name here, with whole number. So anywhere we had defined an integer, something like x, we could have done whole number instead of doing int, right? So this is pretty cool. Let's try this with the double. We can try type alias, and we can do number with decimal, and we can set this equal to a double. And then let's go down here. When we actually have to specify the double, we can do number with decimal, and we see that our computer program works exactly the same way. So this type alias is working. Now, some of you might be tempted to go back and, you might say, okay, I'm having a really hard time remembering that ints are whole numbers, or, doubles are numbers with decimals. So I'm just going to generate a bunch of these every time I create my project and replace all these items. And I would say to you, well, before you do that, that's quite a bit of additional work, first of all. Second of all, learning words like int and double, this is going to be the way you're going to be reading these items in the documentation. You're also going to see this as you interact with other developers. And if you move to other technology stacks in the future, knowing an integer is a whole number is going to be really helpful. Because you're going to be able to pick up the new language very quickly. For those of you migrating from Objective-C up to Swift, you've seen integers and you've seen doubles before. This isn't anything, terribly difficult or terribly new. I mean, if this is your first computer programming language, then yes, there's quite a lot of new vocabulary to learn. And I understand that that can be overwhelming at times, but I would say spend the time now, learn the proper class names for everything. And then if you really want to, you can go back and use some type aliases and maybe do some cool stuff in a production app and change some class names around. So the feature is there, but we're not going to be using that heavily in our projects together.